I'd say that the term nature cure has been around for a long time, and it was used, back in the early 1900s as a way of differentiating, using nature as a way of curing, a curative sort of therapy or approach. So obviously, the use of nature, whether that's water or sunlight, and sometimes fasting or not eating or juice fasting or hot and cold waters, all those different systems of, let's say, cure, use nature, and that's how that term was begun. But I like, and I totally agree with that philosophy, but I would like to take it one step further. And that is, it's not really our experience of the effects of nature upon us, but it is the response of the nature within us to those approaches. Again, coming back to the core, the innate physician, the innate wisdom requires to be nurtured, requires to be recognized, requires to help eliminate toxins from the system. So this broad term of nature cure does include nature, which we are totally dependent on, oxygen, sunlight, etc. But it is the response of our own nature within us to these different types of approaches, which is really the underlying cause of being cured or the restoration of our health. And I think that this is where our medical system is bound to fail in that arena or that spectrum of people who are having symptoms that have not gone to the point of causing pathology. And even in that area of pathology, there's a great deal that can be done to help people to move themselves back towards health. But in this area where people are having symptoms but not severe enough to cause major issues, health issues, this is where there is some degree of failure, because using drugs to control symptoms and not the use of nature is not going to restore people's health. And I think I have many medical doctor friends who are frustrated in their practice for various reasons, financial and et cetera, who realize that in their dispensing of chemicals, they know that in part they're giving what the patient is really asking for. Sometimes people walk into the doctor hoping for, expecting a prescription to get themselves out of their pain or whatever their symptoms may be. So there's pressure on the doctors to provide what the client or patient is asking for. And also the time required and the investigation required to understand why the person is having symptoms it's very time consuming, and doctors do not have the time to do this. So this is where the major change in medicine is going to happen. Not so much in the acutes, I feel, because there's a definite need for the acute situation in a person, and also maybe not in the chronic treatment of disease with surgery and chemotherapy, et cetera, et cetera. It's in this gray area where we'll see probably the biggest change in the next 10 to 30 years in doctors beginning to realize that they have to do something other than dispense medications. And there's a movement even within the medical community to go in this direction. Some are moving over to the other side to more holistic medicine, with feeling much better in their conscience and maybe able to sleep a little better at night. That's another story. So yeah, I think that's probably a good answer to your question.